It's Monday. It's the Monday we've all been waiting for. Classes start this Monday. I'm Benj,
I'm Chase!
I'm Dave.
and we're starting with Barbarians. Chase, tell me about Big Green Rage Monsters.
Ah! Okay, I would love to do that, Benj. Thanks for tossing it over to me.
No
So,
problem, buddy.
hi, Internet. My name is Chase, and I'll be talking to you about the Barbarian. So, I, I have to start off by saying this class is you're a rageaholic. You should go get help for that. Perhaps talk to some like AA meetings. Work your way through whatever problems you're going through.
Discuss it with your local cleric.
Yeah, work through it. But we should also use that rage, not be a little pansy about it, and get in there and fight and bleed. And to help you do all those things, I'm going to go over what you actually do as a barbarian to make those things happen. So first things first, we're going to start off with probably the main aspect about the barbarian is you have a bigger hit dice than anyone. You have a D12 for hit die. You are the big HP pool of the planet. High level barbarians get to 3 digits easily, bro. They lift. They lift and work out, bro. High con all day long. But anyway, the key feature about the barbarian to go with that being rough and tough and taking the hits is you rage. And when you rage, you get in there and you do extra damage for raging. And you get in there and you take those hits because you have that high hit pool. And you just whop on them till they die from being hit. Um, Technically, you have armor. You can wear light armor and medium armor. Sure, you can do it, but you're going to lose out on a cool benefit, which is unarmored defense, which is, again, you're supposed to get in there. You're supposed to take those hits. Don't wear armor. Get the extra bonus from your ability. I guess unless your DM, you get like a really cool magic armor, then I'll shut up, and then you still get in there and take those hits, but you protect yourself magically. Outside of that, most of your stuff is just enhancing your attacks in different ways. Some of it has some negatives because you get such a good bonus. And then the other aspect of the barbarian is your ability to kind of like always be on your toes, always be ready for a fight. You get essentially additional abilities to like dexterity saving throws and not be surprised because you're just always ready to go. You're just so ready to go. You're pumped, bro. You're ready for this. At higher levels, you also get some really cool stuff for your criticals. As we've talked about a little bit before, crits in 5e are kind of a big deal because you can unload a lot of damage. When you crit, barbarians even more so. They get extra dice when they crit, and without going too deep into it, there's some races that can make that broken combo even more broken. And I mean, guys, seriously, damage. You can let out the damage. You can be a pain factory. You can be all aboard the pain train, and everyone's getting a ticket. Sorry, I'm so caught up in this brosif class. Uh, what am I missing? As you level up, you will get abilities to increase your rage to the point where it's essentially permanent. You can just Hulk out whenever you're ready to Hulk out. There are some path features to the class, which we'll get into later. So you're not just, you can choose what type of rageaholic you want to be. You can choose to be a real rageaholic or a more controlled rageaholic. You actually went to a few of those meetings and talked to your local cleric.
I guess an open-minded rageaholic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, pretty much. But before I pass it off to my two companions and friends here, I really just want to say the key details to the barbarian is again, you have a very high hit pool. You are made to take damage. There is no other class I can think of without heavy armor that is made to take damage like the barbarian is made to take damage. You are made for it. And to equally put out high amount of damage. You are made to get in there. Now I will say I've seen barbarians built different ways, and I've heard I've heard some concepts relentlessly about other ways to try it. Obviously, a high con, high strength build would be the primary way that most people think of. As you guys heard at least, I want to say 5 times throughout the history of this channel, Binge is determined to make a dexterity barbarian someday. I'll let him get into that. It is possible.
I truly am. I am committed to that concept.
Yeah, it is possible. Again, with 5th edition, you can kind of build however you want. I mean, you could also build the high intelligence barbarian. Why not? Go for it, bro. I guess. Sure. Yeah, totes. But anyway, main 2 factors: high hit pool, high attack. And now I will toss it off to these two crazy kids to really give you those additional details and the real specifics about what make you help decide to choose this class. See, Binge, Dave, I don't care. Blah, 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 blah. Pick one.
I'll go ahead and step in. So, at level 3, you get to pick your primal path, and here I'll take a quick sidebar to explain what that means. Every class in 5th edition has like a path system or a branch system. When you reach a certain level, usually 3, a couple of them are like at level 1 or 2. You get to pick one of a couple different ways to go with the class, and that provides a bit more detail on how you play the class, gives you more options in and out of combat for what you can do, and just kind of specializes your character a bit better. So for the Barbarian, you've got 2 paths. I'm going to go through the path of the Berserker. That's basically if you just want to take what the Barbarian already is and turn that up to like 13 or 14. So starting at 3rd level, when you get it, you get Frenzy, which when you go into a rage, you can basically you get an extra attack as a bonus action. You just get to make a single melee attack as a bonus action on every turn, which, I mean, Barbarians don't get anything else they can throw a bonus action at, especially not at that low level, so take an extra attack. Why not? When you hit 6, you get Mindless Rage, so when you're raging, you're immune to Charm and Frightened, which is good because you don't want to get charmed when you're raging, because then you'll just, murder your entire party.
Your friends don't want you to be charmed while you're raging either.
No, they definitely don't. And then, once you hit 10, you grab your Intimidating Presence, which is, you can use an action to try frightening somebody within 30 feet of you. They have to make a wisdom saving throw, or they'll frighten until the end of their next turn. And then you can keep using your action to keep them frightened. Basically the frightened condition is they can't move towards you, and I think they actually are forced to move away from you as much as they can. So it's kind of good, but it also means your friends have to chase someone down at the end of combat. So
they don't have to run away. They can't approach you, but as long as they can see you, they have disadvantage on pretty much everything.
Okay, so better than I thought it was. And then the top level ability for that Path of the Berserker is Retaliation. So when you hit level 14, anytime you take damage from somebody in 5 feet of you, you can use your reaction to turn around and smack them. More damage is more damage, and as a Barbarian, you wouldn't like getting hit. I'll take another quick sidebar. Every class also has something at level 20 that, it's like their capstone ability. It's the thing that makes them, the best them they can be. Barbarians at level 20, you get to increase your strength and con by 4, and your maximum now comes to 24. The base game, your character caps out at 20 for every stat. You can't go above it, with or without magic. Barbarians get to break the rules and jump up to 24 for strength and con, which is pretty great. Benj?
Alright, so that leaves me with the Path of the Totem Warrior. Like Dave said, the Frenzied Berserker is just a rage monster. You're the Incredible Hulk. You just get angrier and angrier, and the angrier you get, the stronger you are. The Totem Warrior is for those who would prefer to play more of a... it's really more of a defensive style of play for the Barbarian. You're still laying out the hurt. You're not laying out as much hurt as a Frenzied Berserker, but you're still out there laying out the hurt. But you're going to take more turns to go down. The flavor is more along the lines of the Barbarian who grew up in the wilds and spent time with animal command, like Conan, the Barbarian, who spent time with nature and animals or whatever. Although I guess Conan could do either one, because he got grumpy also.
He was the ultimate barbarian.
Yeah, it was the form of.
His last name was the Barbarian, so.
Yeah, I guess his middle name was and his last name was Barbarian. So, I guess if you're going to... Truth in advertising, really. So, they do your bonuses a little differently for the Totem Warrior. You get to pick what bonus you get for 3 of the 4 bumps within the class. So, first off, you can cast a spell at 3rd level. The Beast Sense and Speak with Animals. But the flavor of that is you can only cast it as a ritual, so you have to sit down and concentrate and become one with nature and use the Force. And you can talk to animals, and you can figure out where animals are. which, as we've seen from actual play, can be pretty handy. Free spells are free spells, and as a ritual caster, you can do it as many times a day as you want. There's not really a limit to it. At third level, you get 3 options in the book. You can go with the path, the which totem spirit you get. The really cool thing, and people don't realize this, I think, for the most part, and I'm going to tell you right now, you don't have to pick the same totem animal every time you gain a feature with this class. You can go with one of each, which is really, really cool. But at third level, you can either pick the bear, the eagle, or the wolf. And it doesn't have to be the bear, the eagle, and the wolf. If you want to have the boar, the hawk, or the jaguar, you can. It's there for flavor, and if you want to have a different totem spirit animal and use the same bonus, and just say, oh yeah, but my spirit animal is a panther, which I've seen, and I'm just going to take the wolf bonus and be a panther barbarian, you can do that at your DM's discretion. Your mileage may vary. So the bear totem barbarian, while raging, you have resistance to all damage except psychic damage. One thing we didn't get specific in is the bonuses that you get when you rage. You get a bonus to your damage based on your strength modifier. No, not based on your strength, based on if you're using a strength attack, which is why my dex build is something that people would frown upon, because you don't get that bonus damage if you're not using a strength-based attack. You also get resistance, which means you take half damage from slashing damage, bludgeoning damage, and piercing damage. So regular melee and ranged attacks, like if something is hitting you, you're going to take half damage. The bear totem, you take half damage from everything except psychic damage. That's huge. That is a big deal. There are not that many things that cause psychic damage that are very common. The Bard's damage cantrip does, and their first level damage spell does. But beyond that, you got to go to the Underdark to find stuff that does psychic damage, and so that's a big thing. The path of the totem of the eagle, while you're raging and you aren't wearing heavy armor, which you're not proficient with anyway, so why would you? Other creatures have disadvantage on opportunity attack rolls against you, and you can use the dash action as a bonus action. So this makes you a little bit more mobile. That way you can, like, if there's like a big guy or a wizard that they're protecting in the back, and you perceive that person as the greatest threat, you can run past everybody, dash as a bonus action, so you don't have to use your actual attack action to get past everybody. And it doesn't really matter if you run through somebody's personal space, because they're going to have disadvantage on attacks to hit you. You're going to be more difficult to hit. That's pretty cool if you want to be like the guided missile of hitting the guy in the back. And finally, the wolf, while you're raging, your friends have advantage on melee attack rolls against any creature within 5 feet of you that is hostile to you. This is actually pretty cool. It's pack tactics. There are several monsters in the monster manual that get this ability, so giving that to a player character as well, pretty cool.
That would be the one I think should be picked for a dexterity build.
Possibly. Realistically, though, if you're not a bear barbarian, you're doing it wrong. Check everywhere on the internet. If you're not a barbarian, you're doing it wrong, because half damage from everything is the bestest. Like Chase was trying to say in his garbled rage speak, you're out there. Yes, you're out there taking the hits and giving the hits. And if you take half the hits, like when they throw the fireball at you, you get advantage on dexterity saves, so you've got a better chance of not taking all the damage from there, and you're going to take half of it again. So you're going to take a fourth of the damage from that fireball, assuming that you make your save, which statistically you probably should. It's every build out of the book, everybody builds a barbarian. At 6th level, you get another choice. Again, you can stick with the bear, or you can branch out. You can play the field. For the bear, you gain the might of the bear, your carrying capacity. If I could read and or speak, this would go a lot better. Your carrying capacity is doubled, and you have advantage on strength checks made to push, pull, lift, or break objects. This one is not as exciting for me because A, no one pays attention to carrying capacity, and B, you already get advantage on strength checks while you're raging. If you really have to move something, get angry about it. Why is this thing in your way? Why won't this thing move? Why are physics and the laws of inertia working against me? Just be grumpy about it. It's cool. The eagle, you gain the eyesight of the eagle. You can see up to a mile away with no difficulty, able to discern even fine details as if looking at something no more than 100 feet away from you. Additionally, dim light doesn't impose disadvantage on your wisdom perception checks. Assuming you have a wisdom score and proficiency with perception, this is really cool. You can see the bad guys way before they can see you. And finally, the wolf. You gain the hunting sensibilities of a wolf. You can track other creatures while traveling at a fast pace. You can move stealthily while traveling at a normal pace. That's pretty cool if you don't have a ranger. So between those, I would skip the bear. This is just Benj telling you, doing his numbers thing and his min-maxy building thing. Skip the bear at level 6. Pick the eagle or the wolf. Wolf if you don't have a ranger. Eagle if you actually have a wisdom score. And why would you? You're really a big dumb chunk of meat. At 10th level, you gain Spirit Walker, which means you can cast Commune with Nature as a ritual. Again, they're just giving you another spell you can do. Free spells are cool. It's not the thing that, intimidating presence might be, but you may not have a charisma score to intimidate people. I don't know your life. And finally, at 14th level, your top thing for your subclass, for the bear, while you're raging, any creature within 5 feet of you that is hostile has disadvantage on attack rolls against targets other than you, or another barbarian that does the same thing. If it can't see or hear you, or it can't be frightened, it's immune to the effect. This is basically your ability to make you the party tank. Everything really wants to hit you because you're a big giant rage monster and you're kind of scary. So attacking somebody who's not you doesn't feel like the best idea. So that's really cool to help out your friends. For the eagle, while you're raging, you have a fly speed equal to your current walking speed. And as we alluded to, you move a little faster than most characters. This benefit works only in short bursts. So if you're in the air at the end of your movement speed, you fall. But to have the ability to literally just fly, it's basically like the Incredible Hulk, like giant jump, like the leaping dashes from the original crappy Hulk movie, where he bounces everywhere he goes. It's kind of like that. For the eagle, no, that was the eagle. For the wolf, while you're raging, you can use a bonus action on your turn to knock a large or smaller creature prone when you hit it with a melee weapon attack. That is amazing. Prone is a condition wherein you are laying on the ground. Melee attacks have advantage on you. Ranged attacks have disadvantage on you. But if you're a barbarian and you can use your bonus action to knock somebody down, you're in melee and you get advantage on the rest of your attacks.
Without having to be reckless.
Without having to use the reckless attack ability. And it's not on a bonus action, you can make a check to knock a creature down. You just do it. Like normally when you try to push another creature and knock them prone, there's what we call a contested roll, where you both roll and see who does better. If you do better, you knock them down. If they do better, you look silly. So this doesn't say make an opposed athletics check to see if you knock them prone. It's you knock them prone. So if you're the barbarian, you can knock that guy down, and then your fighter or your monk buddy can just go to town. And heaven help you if your 14th level totem barbarian with the wolf ability has a friend who's a half-orc fighter champion. Heaven help you, because he's just going to wreck your day. He is going to walk up to you and just we're going to have a lot of fun talking about the fighter, and I'm going to save that for later, because that half-orc champion is going to wreck you. Let's say you got some. You should be half-orc brothers. I'm making your party now. You should have 2 characters that are half-orc brothers. One of them went to school to be a fighter, and the other one went out in the woods and wrestled bears. I don't care. You got Zangief and you got Guile, and they just they're tag team champions. They're amazing. I'm really getting off track, but I'm excited. Dave,
Yeah.
bro up,
What?
epic bro fist.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm so sorry for what's happening right now, Internet. This is what happens when we discover new concepts while doing these videos.
That just happened. Oh, that just happened. Okay.
Man, you're
so
like the
that
ultimate WWE combo.
that is the path of the Totem Warrior, and I went a little longer than Dave did because there's a lot more choices.
Yeah.
The path of the Totem Warrior is the thinking man's barbarian. Let's talk builds real quick because that's what I like to do. Since we had a whole episode on builds, let's talk about builds. What race and background do you like for a barbarian, Dave?
Half orc and background. I guess thematically and role playing, Outlander's probably the best for it. Because if you're looking at the martial backgrounds, soldier makes no sense because if you're a barbarian, you're probably not disciplined enough to be a soldier. So yeah,
depending on the army.
I would say Outlander and definitely half orc because I won't take it away from Minj. I know he wants to explain why.
Well, you just get more dice.
Yeah.
Half orcs have a racial ability to get an extra die on a crit, and barbarians, if you go straight barbarian and level through, by the time you hit level 17, you're rolling another 3 dice on a crit, so that's 4 extra dice on a crit. So, when you're knocking guys down and getting advantage on them, or doing your reckless attack and getting advantage on them, those crits turn into whallops, like, big time. Chase, how do you feel? What's your barbarian build?
See, I was thinking about this the whole time, and because I'm me, I refuse to accept your one choice, sir. You won't put me in a corner to where I have to pick one.
Nobody
No
puts
one puts
Tracy in the
Tracy in a
corner.
corner.
No one puts me. So, as far as race goes, I honestly am torn between. Really, it's 2 because the other 2 aren't in the player's handbook. They're from additional things that I won't go into. So I'll at least cut it down to 2. And say that honestly, there's no denying a half-orc is made to be a barbarian. I mean, that was the main concept class that it seems Wizards made them for. So I'll agree to everything that's been said already about the half-orc. What I will also toss out is Dragonborn. I think Dragonborn make a really cool barbarian, especially when you go frenzied, because you don't have to worry about the baritone as much because you're already getting resistance to one other type of damage outside of what piercing, bludgeoning, slashing, just from being a Dragonborn and picking, I don't like fire, or whatever element you pick. And past that, they are kind of big, hardy, quote fingers, monstery races that kind of fits the description. And actually have a chance of having a high enough charisma to actually intimidate someone to be like, oh shit, he's angry. I want to go now. Sorry. And then as far as background goes, there's 2. Dave called it the first time with Outlander. I think that is accurate. That's a good choice for your generic wilderness barbarian. But one of my personal favorites is the alternate for entertainer, which is the gladiator. I think that's a really cool concept for barbarian, where you were this person taken from the wilderness and have been fighting in an arena, and you're, however long you've been there. So there's a bit of like showmanship to how you fight. But yeah, those would be my 2 and 2 instead of 1 and 1.
I think a Dragonborn barbarian in an arena would be a pretty good draw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. Because I have to talk about it, because obviously half-orc barbarian. Obviously. But kicking around in my brain is that halfling soldier barbarian. Like, for a dex build. Stout halfling, bonus to constitution, bonus to dexterity. crank up the dexterity, use a shield and a rapier because that makes sense. Um, but the reason I want the soldier background is because I recently watched The Last Samurai again, and I want his rage to be PTSD, and he like wigs out. Like he doesn't want to be a fighter. He left the military, but he like freaks out, and that's his rage. And if I run out of rage for the day, I just cower in a corner, and that would piss off everyone in the party. Oh,
I would also like to add for any military slash ex-military people who watch this channel, please do not be offended by that comment or statement. It was just made for the fun of the game.
well, it was because I watched The Last Samurai, and Tom Cruise had PTSD.
Yeah.
Like it just came to me. I was like, oh, that's my barbarian. He could just because he went crazy PTSDing while he was showing off the gun and like shot everything. Like first off, go watch The Last Samurai because that film is fantastic. I don't care about your personal feelings about Tom Cruise. Like I know he's weird, but what actor isn't weird these days? He's a weird guy. Fantastic film. Big fan of The Last Samurai.
It is pretty good. It's one of my favorites.
Okay. So that's it. That's the Barbarian. Any other thoughts?
No,
Coherent thoughts?
no. I think we've pretty well covered it.
I'm glad you said that because I was about to just go crazy into this mic.
I know. That's why I felt the need to say it. Fantastic. Well, as always, I'm not going to bug you to like and share and subscribe because that's what everybody on the internet does. Although, now I think about it, I just kind of did. But no, tell your friends and tell your friends to tell their friends. Where else can they find us, Dave?
rolltorollblog.wordpress.com, SoundCloud, and on the Facebooks.
And the
And
YouTube
as always-
where you're at.
And the YouTube
And
where
all
you
the
are.
YouTube. Depending on where you are right now, you can find us on the other place. I'm Benj.
That was Chase, and I'm Dave.
Keep on rolling.
Duh.